Hi guys, Wendy here from JumbleinkSVG. We hope this video helps. Jer is going to take you through it. Thanks and bye for now.
I'm just going to go through some guidelines on how to set up size and get your lettering and numbering on the ice hockey player. So first of all, it's just to set up your mat. On the right hand side here you can see I have it set for 12 by 12 inches, and I also have it set with to show the grid. It just helps when you're aligning things on the mat. So next of all, we have to merge the actual file for all the layers into the silhouette. So top left hand corner, go to File, go to Merge, and go to the file that you're looking for. In this case, I'm getting the Ice Hockey Studio 3 file, so I can import this directly into Studio and it will give me all the layers ready for cutting. So open that, and as you can see, it's dropped the full design in. So you can see these are all separate layers, but all the layers are there and all the parts associated with the design is there. So first and foremost, you need to size your design for the frame you're using. So say for example you're using an 8-inch frame, so the opening at the back of it could be 8 inches. So generally you make your layer slightly smaller so it doesn't get kind of caught on the edges and buckle. So, but in this case, I have the frame size set to 8.054 because my frame size is generally slightly bigger than 8. But you can change this. So you can see here the height and the width of the frame is 8.054, and up here at the top you can see the actual size is there. So I can change this on each layer to say 8, and if I do that, because the lock is on, it changes to 8 and 8. Now I want to leave it at 8.054, so I'll just undo that because that's the size I actually want it. So now what I want to do is I want to set up the layers I need for the name and the number on the shirt. So I'm going to take all the layers away over to one side just for now, and all the parts as well just over to one side for now. So the layers I need here to kind of set this up. This here is what I call a frame blank. So what this is used for is that if you have a frame that's very narrow at the front, sometimes you can see the spacer that's giving you the depth in behind the frame edge. So you can just cut this out and put it in front of your design at the front of the frame just to hide the spacers. So it also helps with aligning things within the design when you're in Studio. So that's the first one. So I will be using that. The second one then you can see here is the player. Now this here, the frame around this is only used for sizing. So this here is grouped. So within this you've got the frame here, you've got the player and all the parts of the player. This is all grouped together. So you can use this again to set up the size. So if I go in here and set the size here to say 9 and hit return, you'll see the actual player and the frame all increase in size together. So it keeps them proportional. So again, I just want to go back to my original size, which is 8.054. And now what I want to do is I want to use this to help me to align the pieces I need within Studio so as that I can set up my number and my lettering. So for this I need the frame blank, I need the layer that has the player, I need layer 1, which is the backing for the player, which all the parts of the player get stuck onto. Layer 2, and I need layer 1, which is where the name of your team or your player gets put. So I shall collect all these together. So basically just swipe over the corner of these and use these buttons here to center them on the page and center them together. So that's all set up. So now what I want to do is I want to create the number. So what I do is I go over here to the left hand side and click on the text box. From there I want to set up the number in the color that I want to represent it in and the size and the font. So top left hand corner here, click on this and I can choose black because I want the lettering in black. I can choose the the font, I'm going to just choose Arial, and I can choose the size, which in this case I'm going to choose 48 because that's big enough for what I want. Now click into your mat and just type 19, and there's your number. Now obviously the number here is in the wrong orientation. It needs to be turned. So if you click on the number, you'll see the box showing the size of it comes up, and you can see this little green tab here. If you scroll over that with your mouse, you can see it gives you a rotation arrow. So if you click on that, you can rotate the 19 to suit the angle of the jersey, just like that, and reposition it. And now you know that that's your 19 fits there quite well. So when it comes to cutting, you know it's the right angle, and well, the angle doesn't matter because you can, when you're sticking them on, you can change that. But just for representation here, it makes sense to do this. Now for the name, you again go over to your text, click on the text box, again check your color. I'm going to go with red on this one, again I'm going to go with Arial, and again I'm going to go with 48. Click into your mat and write the name. So in this case I'm doing Matthew, and click back into your mat, and there you have the name Matthew. So I can now drag that down and place it on layer 1 and just line it up to where I want it. So there, that's how it's going to look when you assemble it all. So Matthew here is going to be cut out as separate letters, and then you're going to stick them onto the layer 1 with double-sided tape or glue or tiny little bits of glue dots or whatever. Same with the number 19. So now to cut those out, I need to pull the layers away, and in the first case I'm going to cut the 19. Now normally what I would do is I would then cut out all of the small black parts together. So I would cut out the puck. You can change the size of the puck again if you want by just increasing or decreasing, like so, depending on how big or small you want it. And in this case you could take all the parts associated with the player. So I'm going to start ungrouping these. So that's the ungroup button, or you can right click and ungroup, click out of it, and then you can take the frame away and it leaves you with your player. Your player then is all grouped as well, so you can again hit the ungroup button, and now I can pull all the black parts, or the parts that I want to colour. I want to cut this out of black card. So all these parts, put them all up there, and then just swipe over the rest of these, drag them to one side, out of the way for later. And now I can just cut this out of black card if I set it up on my silhouette. So I can send that to my cutter, pick the correct settings for the card stock you're using, and away you go, you cut your black parts. So again, the same idea. I can just swipe that, pull them out of the way, and take all the red ones. So take all these, put them up here, and the face I'll pull away for now. So I can start cutting all these parts. Just separate them slightly so they're easier to weed when you're on your mat. And Matthew as well. And again, send that to your cutter, and like that, it'll cut it out nicely on whatever the setting you wish to use for your cardstock, be it £80 or £100 cardstock. Or I use here it's all GSM, so it's I tend to use a 210 or a 220 GSM, which is about £80 cardstock. Always make sure that your cardstock is really good quality, that's not fibrous, and it's dry, very dry, because if it's damp at all, it'll tear. So then at that stage, you can carry on cutting the rest of your layers, all of the layers except for the frame blank and the frame that goes around the player are numbered. So these are all numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Number 1's at the front of the frame, number 6 is at the back of the frame. I would normally also at the back of the frame cut out a piece of white card or paper and stick it to the back part of the frame. It just helps to reflect light through the piece and makes it cleaner looking from behind. Then when you have your parts cut out, you basically take your layer 2 and you start to assemble up your player. So his face goes in, his helmet goes in, and it's easy enough to line them up. Once they're cut out, you'll be able to align these quite easily and set them up on the actual layer itself. Face in, you can then put your jersey in, again line that up, your glove, another glove, your hockey stick, and as you see, one glove goes over the hockey stick and one goes under the hockey stick. You've got your shorts, again line them up to whatever they kind of look right. I'm not sure what you guys call these things. I would call them protective socks, but I'm not sure what the correct terminology is within the ice hockey world. And then your skates. So you have your skates like so. And so you can see when you start to assemble this, so all these parts are stuck onto layer 2, again, craft glue, double-sided tape. If you want to give them depth, some really thin foam or sticky pads, and it'll look really kind of cool. You get great depth when you use a bit of a small gap like that. Your puck goes onto layer 1, your Matthew goes onto layer 1. And again, when you're assembling this, use the frame blank, because the frame blank gives you a good guide as to put the Matthew in a place that it's going to be seen when it's in the frame, because like if you put it down here, you won't see it in the frame, and so on. And that's the way it starts to assemble up. And obviously you can then put in all of your layers, and eventually you end up looking like that with your finished piece. So hope this has been helpful, and if you have any questions, please message us on Etsy, and we'll do our best to help you out. I hope you enjoyed the design. Thanks very much.